I'm taking advantage of spring's harvest bounty. I've got a nice little batch of sweet corn that I want to freeze. And I'm going to freeze some as corn on the cob, and some I'm going to cut the corn off the cob and freeze it as just whole kernel corn so that I can use it for soups and stews and fried corn, corn chowder, and different things like that. And I also have some herbs that I need to pick. So let's get that started. So I've already cleaned the corn. The shucks are off. I've cleaned off as much silk as I can. I've cut off the edges, and so they're nice, clean cobs, about the size that we would use if we were using corn on the cob. And I washed and rinsed them twice. So now I'm ready to start the process. And the first thing I'm going to do is to put them into a pan of boiling water. And I'm going to boil them for 7 minutes. And then I'm going to take them out of the pan and put them in a bed of ice water and let them sit in the ice water for about 5 minutes. And then I'm going to dry them. And then I'm going to put them on this cookie sheet and put them in the freezer for an hour. Now, why are we doing that? Well, sometimes the cob doesn't cool off all the way through. So putting them in the freezer just kind of helps make sure you've got them completely cooled. And that just helps to reduce freezer burn. And then once they've been in the freezer for an hour, I'll dry them with a clean dish towel. And then I'll put them in a freezer bag and suck all the air out, date them, and put them back in the freezer, and I can keep them in there probably for about 6 months. They'll be good. I'm going to do something similar with my kernels of corn, only I won't have to put them in the freezer for an hour. Once I get it out of the ice bath, I'll just cut the corn off the cob and then I'll put it in freezer bags. And then I'm going to pick some of my fresh herbs. So I've got about 6 ears of corn in here, and as I put them in the water, once all 6 were in, the water is no longer boiling. So I'm going to bring it back up to a boil and then let it boil for 7 minutes. Once it comes out, I'll put it in the ice water bath, and I'll start the ice water bath while these are boiling. This English thyme and this curled parsley and the rosemary and then the basil in the back is just coming in nicely. And one of the things that I'm going to do differently this year is I'm going to harvest a little bit more often. And there was a video put up by Kadia at her healthy home that talked about that. I'll link it in the description box below. But she suggested harvesting early and often so that they don't bolt or go to seeds. Some of it I'll dry, and then some of it I'll just freeze. But it's just coming in nicely. So while I'm waiting for that corn to boil, I can get some of this. This is just a little fairy garden I put together. I do one every year when Grandma Sandy does hers in June. And I usually put herbs in mine. I've just got a couple more minutes for that corn to boil, so I thought I'd get my water bath started. Now let me just talk to my young homemakers for a second before I get that hot corn out into this ice water bath. In case you're thinking, well, I really don't have a harvest, I don't have a bounty or anything like that. But right now the harvest season is coming in. So your produce markets, your local farmers markets, your grocery stores, and the produce departments in your stores are going to be abundant with the bounty of the harvest. This is also that time of the year, depending upon what part of the country you live in, that people will start bringing in tomatoes and corn and cucumbers and all those kinds of things into work. Take advantage of those things, take them home, and then get out your iPad, your tablet, your phone, and search how to freeze them or how to dry them so that you can put aside some of the harvest of the season for your family. It doesn't mean you have to grow it, but you do want to take advantage of it when it is presented. It's about time for that corn to come out, so I'm going to get that out and I'll bring it over. All right, so now into the water bath it goes. I set my kitchen timer for 5 minutes, so it's going to be in the ice water bath for 5 minutes, and then I'm going to dry those ears of corn with these flour sack towels. They feel like they're pretty cold, but the cob itself might still be a little warm. So that's why you put them in the freezer for an hour. Now I'm going to put these out in my freezer. Let me show you my new apron. I forgot to tell you guys that this video is brought to you by Aprondiva. Pretty and practical. We believe that an apron can be a homemaker's best accessory. But this particular apron was sent to me by one of my subscribers. Is it not absolutely beautiful? I am so appreciative that she thought enough of me to send this out. And she even embroidered a dish towel that goes along with it. So, thank you so much for sending this out to me. Now these have been in the water bath for almost 7 minutes, so they're nice and cool. And now I want to cut the corn off of the cob. And an easy way to do it would be to set the corn like this or this way down inside the opening of your bundt pan. Well, this is a really old bundt pan, so the opening's not quite as large as I would like, but I can set it right there. Have a nice sharp knife, and I've got my Mason knife, and then you just cut. And the nice thing about using the bundt pan is that all of the corn falls right into the pan, so it's not like it's popping out all over the counter. And I don't have one of those new fancy bundt pans. This pan is probably a good 50 years old. I think it might have been my mom's, but it works just fine. And the key here is make sure you've got a nice sharp knife. I've got this pan of corn, big pan of corn. So now I'm going to put it into my freezer bag, and I'm going to try to put in about maybe 2 cups, because I'm thinking that's about how much I would use. About that much if I was going to be making, say, corn for dinner as a side dish, or to add to a salsa or tacos or whatever. So let's go ahead and get the dates on the bags. And you may think, oh, I'll remember what's in it and when I put it in there, whatever, but you just never know. So make sure you put what's in it and the dates on the bag. We've had corn on the cob twice this week. Once I roasted it in the oven. I just put a little olive oil on it and wrapped it in foil and put it in the oven, and it was delicious. Then another day my husband put it in the microwave and it was delicious. Just had a little salt and pepper on it. I've got that corn out of the freezer now, and I'll go ahead and get it in the bag. And I'm going to be using my new Crumify vacuum sealer. One of the features that I really like about it is that it has a mode for moist or dry. So I'm kind of excited about that. And I'm putting 4 cobs in a bag because I might as well make them for 2 meals. We might have some for dinner and then we might have some for lunch. So I'm going to go with the normal mode, and on the moist food, I've got about 3 inches of head space here. Now this corn is pretty moist, so it is sucking out quite a bit of the moisture. So I'm not really excited about that, but it is what it is. Now one of the things that I noticed is that there's a couple spots here that didn't seal all the way across. So I'm going to seal them again, and I'll just do a seal rather than a vacuum. There, so I've got 2 lines of seal across it, so I know that's good to go now. I've not had that as a problem with my other vacuum sealers, but this is something that I see that's unique to this one. And it could be because of the kind of product that I'm sealing. So I've got 2 batches of corn on the cob that I'm going to slip in the freezer, and then 5 of these little bags of 2 cups of whole kernel corn, and a little bit left over there that I'm going to cook for dinner today. Like I said, we've had corn twice this week already. Roasted corn in the oven, steamed in the microwave, and then just boiled. And I'm going to, I don't know, side dish, whatever. I'm going to do something with that today, but these are going to go in the freezer. And then I'm going to take care of those herbs over there. As far as the herbs, I'm just going to give them a good rinse. And then I'm going to let them dry a little bit. I'll put some string around the end of them. And then I will hang them up to dry. I usually like to put mine in a brown paper bag, so as they dry, if they drop into the bag. And that won't take me much time at all to take care of that. So let me get these in the freezer and I'll be right back. As life often happens, I didn't get back to getting these put on a string and in a bag yesterday, so it is the next day. But I thought I would get it done today, so I'm going to use 4, or shall I say 5, brown paper bags. And this is just regular lunch bags, and I'm going to write on the bag what I'm going to put in them. So I've got some sage, and I'm going to put today's date on it. And I can reuse these bags, so I'll put the date today, but once these come out of the bag, I'll save these bags and use them for something else. And then I use a roll of string, and I'll just cut some off and I'll wrap it around the end of the herb and put it in a bag. But I've got string that I've saved from other times that I've used them. It's just a little bit of a savings, not a whole lot, but it helps. Make a loop like that and pull this through. And then I'll just put it in the bag, and I'll get out the bag. It's just sage, of course. And since these leaves are so small and they're single, I'll just drop them at the bottom of the bag. Then I just drop the bunch in here. I pull it up about to there. Oh, it's my stapler. Staple. Like that. And then I can just hang this bag in a cool, dark place. And I like to put mine in the bag so that if they do start to drop, they're in here. They're in the bag already. And it keeps dust from settling on them as well. And I set them out because after I rinse them, I wanted as much water as possible to come off of them. I didn't want to have a lot of water in the bag, and then they end up molding. And then this is the sweet basil, and I'll just tighten that up. And depending upon what kind of herb you have, some dry faster than others. This basil, because of the thickness of the leaf can be anywhere from 10 days to 2 weeks. But smaller leaved herbs like thyme, they can dry a whole lot quicker. So this is the English thyme here. Oh, and the kitchen is smelling so good. And then here's my lemon thyme. I put my little lemon note in there just so I wouldn't forget. I also froze some I froze some thyme and some rosemary. So I will grab that and let you see how it looks frozen. Okay, so I've got 2 nice little bunches of lemon thyme. And you can already see some of the little leaves have dropped off. So this way, if it's in the bag and they drop. Here's a bag of the frozen corn that I did yesterday. As you can see, it turned out nicely. This is a bag of the whole kernel corn that I took off the bag and froze. You can see that. And then these are the rosemary hearts. So I put some rosemary in here. Let me find the bag. So I've got a bag in the freezer already, and I like to use fresh rosemary rather than dried when at all possible. I can just thaw one of these little hearts out, and I've got fresh rosemary. For more homemaking inspiration, click here. In the meantime, this is Denise Jordan saying you are not done yet. Click on the link in the comment section below and check out another of my homemaking stories, and I will see you next time. And don't forget to visit us at aprondiva.com.